talk about liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. You know, it's as cooking gas. It's increased astronomically in recent time. 1 kg could go as high as maybe 1,007, 1,008, even 2,000 plus, depending on where you're buying it in Nigeria. So if you're doing a 12.5 kg, which is the common size that a lot of households use, you're talking about something in the range of 20,000, slightly over or less than that. So what is responsible for all of this? Well, the players in the sector are joining us right now to help us make sense of it. Mr. Godwin Okodua is the founder, LPG in Nigeria. He joins us virtually. Mr. Okodua, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good to be here. Thank you. Good morning.
I will ask the question that a lot of Nigerians ask who are not familiar with perhaps how the industry works. So that's why you're here to help us explain how this works. So there's always the argument of we have the yam and the knife. By that they mean we have the crude oil, we have the refining capacity thanks to Dangote and other modular refineries. Why are these things that expensive? So where do we get LPG from for Nigeria? And although what has happened in Iran rather happened, we have seen that we're close to energy sovereignty because we're not dealing with availability problem, is affordability problem. So maybe you can tie all of this together. Where do we get LPG from that supplies a local market here? And why is it this expensive?
Right. Thank you very much. The major issue is a supply issue, actually. So you said we have LPG available, but why are we still, facing the issue of scarcity and high cost? The market is firstly deregulated. It's been deregulated for a long time. The market has grown from 70,000 metric ton in 2007 when NLNG joined the domestic LPG market to now 1.6 million tons, while deregulated, no subsidy. So although we had initial quasi-subsidy by NLNG at the beginning of the domestic program. So why do we have this issue? Sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Why do we have this issue? And I'll start with data. Last year, from the 1.6 million tons per annum that the country consumed, Dangote moved 700,000, 43% of the market. NLNG did about 500,000 metric tons. The others came from the likes of Kwale Hydrocarbon and other gas processing plants spread across the south, south, and southeast. Then we had less than 20% import. Prior to now, we had close to between 40 and 50% import. But when the Dangote refinery, started, there was no need for import. In fact, if you import, you get your fingers burnt. So this became the case. And why did we even have up to 15%? We had about 50% last year. We have 50% because the Dangote refinery went into maintenance. If you look at NMDPRA fact figures of 2025, you will see, I don't know if you have it there, I shared it yesterday. You will see that in the month of September, there was this dip. There was this dip in the month of September. That in the month of September, the market took about 117,000 metric tons. Very, very low. In the market that was doing 140,000 thereabouts. Why did it happen? It happened because Dangote refinery was down. There was maintenance going on, exactly. Right, apart from the March figure, if you go to September and the outcry, there was this outcry, scarcity in September. Now, the what you have in orange there is the import. You'll see that in September, August, there was some import. September, it was very low. The market felt it. This was when the queue started and there was the outcry, no LPG and all that. Why? Because the major, imagine the effect of Dangote in the market. With the maintenance, Dangote still gave us 100,000. So when Dangote went into maintenance, and after the outcry, imports, came up, and that's what stabilized the price before the end of the year last year. If you look at May, you will see that this year, if you look at the NMDPRA figures this year, you'll see that in May, the market came down from 145 thereabout to 123,000, and the market felt it. The market did not feel it because the Strait of Hormuz was blocked. The market felt it because there was no supply. In April, Dangote Refinery announced commencement of production of petrochemicals. The same hydrocarbons used for petrochemicals is what is used for LPG, and it's more beneficial for the business. So where would the balance come from? So this is what caused the issue. The issue was a supply issue. So you now see that in recent times, in the past 2 weeks, we've had import from rain oil and import from gas. We have more imports coming in, and this has assuaged the issue we have with supply. And now prices have started coming down from as high as at the depot, price went as high as 29 million, even 30 million in some places. We can now see prices in the range of 24, and even in some places like Dangote 23, thereabouts. So this is as a result of supply. So the market, the forces of demand and supply will always happen. Anytime supply is low, prices will go up. There's no subsidy. Is the normal economy 101, supply and demand. All right. And the major issue we need to move forward, we need to be more intentional with energy security. I'm repeating it again. It's very important. We must watch our reserves. We must watch we must know where our sources of LPG is coming from, and we must monitor it. We should not report figures after the fact.
All right.
Figures must the information must be acted upon why it is happening.
All right.
Okay.
Is that for me? I just wanted to quickly follow up on some of the high points of your graphic illustration, particularly from September last year when there were disruptions. I recall that not long after that, in October, the group managing director of the NNPCL, Mr. Bayo Ojulari, did address the concern over rising cost of LPG at that time. And he attributed it to the disruptions in supply to Dangote Refinery following a workers' dispute. Recall the dispute between Pengassen and Dangote, the management of Dangote Refinery last year. And so currently there is no workers' dispute. I'm wondering what is responsible for this short supply that we're experiencing, that you're talking about, hence the increase in the price of LPG?
So I mentioned in April, Dangote mentioned that they were going to be they were going to commence the production of petrochemicals. The hydrocarbons required for petrochemicals is the same required for LPG. So if you have your hydrocarbons for petrochemicals, where are you going to get the same volume of hydrocarbons required for LPG? So this is the gap. And this is why imports will be required, because when you look at the volumes coming out from NLNG, from BRT, and from the gas processing plants in country, it will not be, or the volumes will not be able to, make room for the shortage caused by the lower volumes coming from the DRP, Dangote Refinery. TPR rather, Dangote Petroleum Refinery, Petrochemical Refinery. So that's what is going on. So, but we need to know, the market needs to be assured of what volumes are we assured of that's coming from Dangote? What volumes do we have that can come from BRT and others? Because the last meeting yesterday held by the Ministry of Energy, there was a mandate to import. How would you ask marketers to import and face the risk of losing money? Because what could happen is if you import and there's an influx of funds coming in from the Dangote refinery, you're going to lose money. It has happened before. And market opacity, when the market is opaque, when it's not transparent enough, what happens? It causes volatility in prices. And that's what could happen. Before we can effectively show up any scarcity, we must have data in place. The NMDPRA must watch the volumes to ensure that at any point in time, we're able to act, proactively instead of waiting to act after the fact. All right? The market is driven by the private sector, purely by the private sector.
We could talk about that, but Mr. Kodwa, the NMDPRA is also saying that retailers are not selling at the indicative price guaranteed by the regulators. So is there also a Shylock element in this sale of LPG?
Of course, there is. So you are asking a retailer that has bought a kg of LPG 1,004 to sell at 1,002 per kg. I mean, yes, there's a Shylock element, but there's a business element side of it. So how do we, like I say, these actions are coming after the fact. Going forward, how should we address it? We should ensure that we have enough supply to keep prices bearable. All right, to ask the retailers to sell below what they have landed their LPG is not. Right. I mean, it doesn't make the business sustainable. There has to be a concerted effort, better structure to manage this, and that's why I talk about managing the volumes or the volumes data. The information about the volumes the market needs the information about the volume, or else this would happen again. It happened in September. Well, the strike, but it also happened when there was maintenance issue, and that's why you saw the rise in imports in November and December last year.
All right, Mr. Kodo, we're about to wind down. It's an important conversation we're having, because what you sell and what your colleagues and the people in that space, the players, is used literally in every household, especially in urban centers and even in rural areas. So this LPG conversation has to be an ongoing one. But talk to us about, I know it's a free market, it's a capitalist or pseudo-capitalist economy run by this administration. I think we're beginning to get clearer on this, and Nigerians can make up their mind what to deal with. What does the margin look like when it comes to LPG business? Because I agree with you on sustainability, but people must be able to afford as well, which is why my colleague always used the term Shylock element. So what are we talking about in margin? Because if supply is disrupted, there will always be that increase. But what is the average margin that is industry standard? Let's use Nigerian industry standard. Are we talking, between what you bought it for and all your cost component versus your margin in terms of your profit? I know it's a trade secret, but just give us an idea.
It's not I may not be able to speak in absolute terms, but it's not fantastic. All right, it's definitely not double digit. All right, but I agree with the fact that during the scarcity there was outrageous pricing. It was really outrageous pricing during the scarcity. So, and it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Prices go up. You saw how the crude oil went to 120 at some point, the same crude oil, and now crude oil is doing sub 80 or thereabout. So there is, but the margins are not fantastic, trust me. And I also want to say that the system has been the same since 2007. It's been a deregulated system, and what we could do is to make more volumes available. There have been several discussions on Chevron, the Chevron volumes. Chevron can potentially add 540,000 metric tons to the market. From the flare point, according to the Nigeria Gas Flare Commercialization Program, they can potentially add 600,000 metric tons to the market.
All right.
So these are...
Yeah, okay. my apologies. We're totally out of time. We have like 30 seconds. So I would like you to speak to this holding and diversion element. I know that from what I understand about these numbers, biggest cost, because these things are priced in dollars most of the time, so our exchange rate devaluation hasn't also helped in the pricing for everybody. But talk to us about the hoarding and diversion that the federal government complained about, that there's now a stakeholders conferencing to tackle it. If you can do that in 30 minutes. In 30 seconds, my apologies.
Okay, still after the fact. Now, there is no business sense in hoarding products when prices are dropping. So what you're seeing at the moment is an offload, a scamper. So if you have product that you bought expensive, you want to sell off before it gets down. So there is no incentive right now to hoard. Basic economics, basic business practice, there is no incentive to hoard. So what we have now, right, what the hoarding, whatever, is after the fact. So during the scarcity, there may have been an incentive, but not anymore, because we have more volumes in the system. I hope that helps.
Mr. Kodwa, thank you so much as always. We'll continue to keep tab with you. I wanted to trace it, but you've given us an idea that is not double digits, so it's something less than 10%. Godwin Okodwa, founder LPG in Nigeria. Thank you for coming on the program.
You're welcome.